Hi there, folks. Sherry Schreiber of GettingBetter.com. Wanting to share a useful strategy with you today if you're an employer. Because as an employer, now and then you have to fire somebody. You hire people, you fire people, and most people are really, really uncomfortable with firing. Let me adjust this a little. Oh, you're getting a lot of glare off my glasses today. I apologize. But 2 attempts earlier today, when my computer wasn't plugged into its power source, my videos froze right in the middle, and didn't keep recording, and all that marvelous information I wanted to impart to you was lost. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed this won't happen again. I think maybe it's time for me to get another laptop, even if it's just for recording videos on, for your pleasure and edification. So I apologize for the glare on the glasses if that hits you badly today. I could put my contact lenses in, but I don't want to, so don't feel like it. So it ain't gonna happen, because I don't do anything that I don't feel like doing. Okay, here we go. How to fire an employee. Most people are so terrified to do this. They are so adverse to doing this. And I think it's because, I mean, we've all had jobs. I've had jobs. I've gotten fired from jobs. And I didn't like it any better than you did when it happened to you, if it happened to you. But it's a fact of life. You get hired, you get fired sometimes. Happens to the best of us. Years ago in my 20s, I wasn't hired for jobs because I was told repeatedly, "You're overqualified for this job. Sorry, but we can't give it to you. You're overqualified for this job." I heard that a lot when I was young. But I digress. And I'm going to try not to get tangential here today. But you never know with me. Firing somebody. I know you feel guilty. I know you feel bad. You want to try not to do it just before the holiday season. Pardon me. But it's hard to do. It's really, really hard to do. And if it wasn't hard to do, they wouldn't have made a movie out of it with George Clooney coming in to do that dirty work for corporations and such. So firing somebody. We feel guilty, we feel icky, we feel awkward, we feel uncomfortable, we over-empathize with that person. But here's the deal. You have to start thinking about this differently. You have to pivot this for yourself. Because the truth is, whether you're a veterinarian and you have assistants, or you're a dentist and you have assistants working for you, or a front desk girl, or you run a company, a printing company, or you have a tech company, or whatever it is, you're going to have people in your business who underfunction. They underfunction for you. Maybe you have a company and your employees are primarily sales force. But if they're underfunctioning and underperforming in their job, you got to cut the dead wood out. Because unless you have major entitlement issues and you don't feel deserving or worthy of receiving what you want and need in this lifetime, and you want to make allowances and excuses for everybody else who, by just underperforming in your company and only being interested in picking up a paycheck, but not performing to their excellence, you're going to want to get rid of them. You're going to need to get rid of them. Because if you don't, it's like a drowning man. They're going to drag you down with them. Excuse me. Feeling a hair. So that's the deal. How do you go about firing somebody? Oh my God. Sorry, this is like majorly distracting right now. Okay, I think I'm all better now. How do you go about firing somebody? Well, first of all, you do it empathically. You call them into your office and you say, Joe or Mary, it seems like the number of times I've spoken with you about what's expected of you here and what I need from you, those conversations have gone sort of unresponded to. And your performance level has not actually risen. And I'm really sorry about this. We like you. We've enjoyed having you here. But we don't feel that this is a good fit. We feel that you'd probably be better off finding a job that's better suited to you. Now, you don't have this conversation until you go to that person and you say, this is what I'm needing of you. This is what I'm expecting of you. You draw them a picture. You let them know what it is you're needing in their performance on that job. And you may give them one or two chances to straighten out themselves and fly right. But after one or two conversations like this, here's what I'm needing from you. I need you to pull up your performance in this area or that area. And maybe they do it for a few days or a week, and then they start slacking off again because these are not conscientious people. They're there to pick up a paycheck. That's all they're there for. They have no sense of pride in themselves. They don't, it doesn't matter for them to perform excellently in their position, in your company. Or they're grossly underqualified to perform effectively in your company, in which case the outcome is always the same. We can feel sorry for them. We can have sympathy for them. But the bottom line is, if you don't have a strong team working for you, your company isn't going to stay strong and stable and sturdy. It just can't happen. It's kind of like growing up in a dysfunctional family. You're going to feel those impairments. So you handle it with sensitivity. I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to let you go. Thank you for giving it the best shot you had, but it's not quite up to our standards. And I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to let you go. Now, if that person has a brain in their head, they're going to apply for unemployment insurance immediately. Immediately! If they don't have a brain in their head, well, doesn't matter. But what goes on behind the curtain for you when you fire somebody? What makes it so darn difficult? Oh, I'm preventing someone from earning a living. No, you're not. You're just preventing them from continuing to earn a living from you. Oh, I feel so guilty about firing somebody, letting them go, leaving them jobless. You're not leaving them jobless. You're just letting them go from the job they were hired to do for you that they haven't been doing up to par, up to speed. Do you understand? Now, here's what happens when you keep somebody on and they continue to underachieve and underperform. And you tear your hair out because they're hurting your company. They just are. And you end up doing the job of 2 or 3 people because the people you've hired for those positions are underperforming. So you take on that extra work, which is absurd. That's ridiculous. They're not paying you to do this. You're paying them to do a job that you shouldn't have to be doing. That's what they were hired to do. But what you're really doing when you let somebody go, and this is where you have to pivot yourself, you're giving them a big break. You're actually doing them a favor. Why? Because they're not equipped to do the job they're hired to do for you. They're not equipped, or they don't give a shit about it. Either way, they gotta go. If someone consistently underperforms for you and your company, they're really not geared or equipped to do the job they're hired to do. In which case, they don't belong there in the first place. So what are you going to do? Throw yourself under the bus? Keep them on? Keep paying their paycheck? Because you feel too sorry for them? If you let them go? That's absurd. Why throw good money after bad? Only a fool does this. But you also have to realize, and this is where we want to help you pivot, you also have to realize you are finally giving that person that you've warned a couple of times, and you've given them explicit instructions on what you need from them in terms of their performance for you, and they still aren't towing the mark. You have to do them the favor of letting them go so that they can find a job that they're better suited to, so that they don't go home with shame and self-disgust and embarrassment every night, that they're not able to live up to what you need from them. You're doing them a favor. Let them go look for a job and find a job that they're better suited to, where they get to go home at night and feel good about themselves because they performed well on that job. Is this making sense to you? This is what you must think about when you're firing somebody. I'm actually doing them a favor. I'm allowing them to look for work that they're so much better suited for, rather than driving me crazy every day, bleeding my company dry, and wasting precious time and energy and money because they're not geared to do this job. And they know it. Most of the time they know it. They know it. They know they're not equipped to do that job well. They know it. So how do you think a person like that feels about themselves trying to do a job they're really not well suited for? There are a lot of things I'm bad at, really bad at, okay? And there are a lot of things I'm really good at. So I try and give my attention, my focus, my energies to the things I'm really good at. And I try and avoid and stay away from the things I'm not so good at or I'm really bad at. Any normal, healthy human being does this. I would never take a job that I felt I wasn't equipped for, or well suited for, or didn't have the skill set and the expertise to do well. I never would. That'd be just masochistic on my part. And I'm far from masochistic. I don't like pain. Not attracted to it at all. So when you fire somebody from your company, you are doing them a service. You are doing them a favor. You're freeing them up to find a job for which they are far better suited, so they can go home at night feeling good about themselves. Maybe they've always wanted to work with animals. Maybe they'll go back to veterinary school and learn how to be an assistant or a veterinarian even. Maybe they'll learn how to be a chef. Maybe they've always liked to cook. And whatever job they're doing for you, is it really a fit for their natural abilities and talents? Set them free. Set them free and let them get out there and find something that's a better fit for them. To keep them on in your company when it's really not a fit for them is really kind of cruel. When it gets right down to it, it's cruel. An unusual punishment. Would you want to go to work every day and try and do a job that you hated going to each day and that you really didn't feel well suited for? Of course not. Would you want to carry the shame around that basically asserts, I'm not very good at this. I'm going to put in my time. I'm going to hope to keep a paycheck coming in. I'm going to hope not to be fired, but I know I'm not really suited to this job. And I'm scared all the time. I'm going to lose this job. Somebody's going to fire me. Nobody wants this. To be willing to fire somebody from your company, knowing you're doing them a favor. Let them find what they're better suited for. That's not going to happen while they're working for you. There are conscientious people in the world and there are unconscientious people in the world. Conscientious people are people who are invested in excellence. Everything they do well. It's just part of their makeup. They can't do a job badly. They just can't. They might make mistakes. I make mistakes. I fuck up all the time. I fucked up with clients, but I would own it. Call them immediately. Offer them a sincere, heartfelt apology. That's what I've always done. And said, if I had the chance for a do-over, this is how I do it instead. I screwed up with you. I'm really sorry. I hope you can forgive me. If you can't, I understand. No, which deepens their trust in me. But I'm a very conscientious person. So whatever job I took on, I gave it really my best shot. I gave it 100% of what I had to give it. But not everybody's wired like this. So if you are a conscientious person and you are the owner of a company, you might assume that everybody else is wired just like you, that they're just as conscientious and invested in doing an excellent job as you are. And what a shame that they can't. But not everybody's conscientious, my dears. In fact, this doesn't speak to the majority of individuals on the planet. Pardon me. It speaks to a minority of individuals on the planet. Craftsmen, people who really care about doing an excellent job for you. I knew a little Italian fella years ago who was just such a craftsman. This is back when I had no money. And I took him a jacket or two to size down or repair for me, a leather jacket or two. And he did such a magnificent job. Why? In a little shop in Beverly Hills in those days. Why did he do an excellent job? Well, because he cared about his work. He cared about his craftsmanship. He took pride in what he did. I'm the same way. Doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. Doesn't mean I don't screw up here and there. But I take pride in my work. I always have, no matter what the job was. When I was a bartender, I was excellent at it. When I was a hairstylist for 1,000 years, I was excellent at it. Doesn't mean I didn't make mistakes here and there, but I really held myself to a high standard of performance. Every job I've ever had, I was excellent in, to the best of my capability. And if I was hired for a job that I wasn't able to be excellent in, I'd either quit or hope to be fired because it didn't feel good at the end of the day. Okay, so I'm trying to give you the backdrop for helping you help yourself to let people go, to fire them when they're not a good fit for your company and they're not able to perform well on the job you're paying them to do. I think I've covered this topic today. God bless, goodbye, and good luck.